Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our first quarterly meeting of the 2021-2022 school year. So happy to have everyone join us today, and also for those who are watching, via the YouTube recording of this. And so the purpose of our quarterly meetings is to share information about the organization in general, as well as through the different divisions, just so employees can be as informed as possible about the things that are going on with the intermediate unit. So today I'll kick it off. First, many thank yous to everyone that was involved with the planning and implementation of our health and safety plan coming into this school year. I know a lot of time and effort went into that. And so I appreciate everyone. We really appreciate everyone's input into that. If you are interested in looking at our health and safety plan, as well as any of our districts' health and safety plans, you can visit our website and click on the box where it says health and safety plans about midway down on the home page if you're interested in seeing other districts' health and safety plans and so on. But do want to thank everyone too for following the many different layers of mitigation that we've inserted into the health and safety plan. And if we compare to where we were at last year, we are, in terms of our health and safety plan, I think we've learned a lot of lessons from the past year and incorporated them into our current plans. And so I want to again thank everyone who was involved and thank everyone for following that. Probably the biggest news, of course, here late has been the governor's mandate for masking. As you all know, our health and safety plan already called for anyone that was working with a student in the presence of a student to wear a mask. So many folks were already in masks, 90 to 100% of the time. So with the governor's mandate, really not a lot changed in terms of us wearing masks when we're in the presence of students. But it is very important to recognize that anytime we're in the presence of someone, or we anticipate being in the presence of someone, like if I'm going to walk to the latrine or something like that, I'm going to be wearing a mask because there may be an opportunity where I may encounter someone. So going to the copier, things like that. So we just have to be cognizant. The purpose of the mask mandate from the governor is to keep schools open, for in-person instruction and not have to revert back to virtual settings like we had to last year. So again, appreciate everyone's efforts in that. Again, always remember our please and our thank you culture. When somebody's not doing what they're supposed to do, just please ask, say please when you ask them to do it. And then those who are reminded, make sure that you say thank you for being reminded. And if we keep that in the forefront of how we react and treat each other, that's going to go a long way, within the organization. Also, just want to remind everyone to make sure that if you have tested positive or identified as a presumptive positive from your doctor and asking you to quarantine, or you've been a close contact to someone that has been tested as positive, it's very, very important that you complete the staff report form that gets sent out every month to that link. We use that data then to collect, to make decisions about quarantine, identifying other close contacts, and then reporting data up to the Department of Health. So very, very important that we do that. And so just use that very simple link to do those reports there. So thank you so much for continuing to do that. On some brighter news, look forward to everyone signing up for Variety Dress Down Days. I know that's the first one's coming up soon, so it's never too late to sign up for our Variety Dress Down Days. And so refer to that opening message and also a follow-up email too about Variety Dress Down. So make sure you sign up for that. We always love to see all those buttons that everyone's wearing supporting Variety. And despite the pandemic and despite a limited number of folks being around in the buildings in the summer, we were able to do a giveaway of Variety bikes and strollers in the summertime. We are hoping to get back to our tradition of handing out bicycles and strollers during our in-service day, the All Celebrations in-service day in the spring. Hopefully we are in a position to be able to do that next year when hopefully we're all together again. Also, just a quick reminder, as we continue to meet our goals as an organization and have celebrations, don't hesitate to send those goal attainments as well as those celebrations to my attention, because then those become part of our celebration day in the spring. So don't hesitate to send me those for me. Okay, well, thank you for letting me just kind of give a quick update here from the Executive Services division. We're now going to go over to Lynn Liu for Financial Services update. So Lynn, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Conway. We've had a pretty busy summer. I do want to thank my payroll folks. They had started in June doing payroll services on a temporary basis for Jeanette City School District. Jeanette's payroll person is out on leave, and they also had a changeover in their business manager. So they had several weeks where they didn't have a business manager until the new one that was hired started. So it's been a lot of heavy lift for them. But I do appreciate it. They have a couple more payrolls to do. I think maybe one more to do after this one. So I'm sure they're really glad that they can get back to doing their regular job. But I want to thank Kathy and Kate both for that. And Suzanne, obviously, for doing benefits. We are in the process of wrapping up a lot of grants. This past year, we had in excess of 30 grants that we didn't normally have. Between PCCD grants for non-pub schools, PDE Safe Schools for non-pubs, local grants that different divisions had obtained, state grants as well. So we had a lot of reporting out that we hadn't had to do in the past, a lot of tracking and monitoring of those funds and expenses. And we anticipate having a similar amount of grants this coming year. So it is a lot more work on the staff and just tracking from everything from the procurement side of it to payment and accounting for it. So it's been a lot of extra work, but I do appreciate my staff for doing that as well. So I want to thank them. This is the time of year where I feel like I'm in a revolving door because we're closing out the 2021 programs and doing final reconciliations for all the various programs to get trued up with the districts. We're obviously in the throes of the current year 2020 or 21-22, but then I'll start actually doing budgeting very soon for 22-23. So sometimes I don't know what year I'm in. So if you ever see me in the hallway and I look a little dazed, you'll know why. But for now, I think we're doing good. We are getting ready to kick off our audit. Deluzio will be in here soon. They'll be presenting to the Finance Committee and the board at the September meeting and kicking off that audit for the 2021 fiscal year. And then we'll be able to file our AFR. So that's pretty much it.
All right. Thank you, Lynn, from Financial Services. We do appreciate that. So let's now go over to Curriculum Services. Tim Hamill, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Conway. So it has been definitely an exciting start for us this year in Curriculum Services. We weren't expecting the intensity of this school year startup, as many weren't. We were hoping for a little bit of relief, I think, like most. And with the start of the school year being as tumultuous as it has been, it's also meant that on our e-Academy front, we have been incredibly busy. We've already surpassed pre-pandemic numbers, our totals for a school year, even almost before school has started. So we are fast approaching 5,000 enrollments, and we're almost up to 800 students that we're serving already. So it's pretty intense. The team is working so hard right now to keep up with all the demands of these types of numbers. Not to mention the work that was done all summer long in preparation, which is normally a fairly intense amount of work, but we added some additional elements to the program over the summer that have I guess created some new capacity is the best way to put it. First of all, we are now in a direct relationship with Accelerate Education. And Becky's smiling because I got that name correct. I always screw it up. The Accelerate Education partnership allows us to bring a third-party vendor material into our library of course offerings. That's actually not new for us. The difference is that we used to be partnered with another IU to do that business. We now have a direct partnership with the vendor. So it actually is a little more of a connected, smoother operation for us and makes things operate, I guess, more efficiently is the best way to put it. So that's a terrific addition. Took a lot of work to implement that, and the team worked hard to make that happen. We've also, for the first time in our existence in about 14 years, we've now adopted a second learning management system to house coursework. Up till now, all of our coursework has lived within the Moodle environment. We now host all of our same courses in a Schoology environment as well. And the reason that was done is that many of our school districts are beginning to implement Schoology as a tool in their districts. So it makes sense that we keep up with that progress and make sure that we're able to offer the coursework that we've developed in that same environment. That was a heavy, heavy, heavy lift. And I have to thank both the curriculum services team and technology services, infrastructure services. Without all of their help, that job would have been impossible. There's just so many intricacies to doing that and making all the buttons work. It was a terrific effort from everybody, and it's ongoing. There's still a few things that need to be cleaned up in that, and things we learn as we go into the systems. But I can't say enough about the collaboration and the cooperation between the two divisions to make that all happen. So kudos to everybody involved in that. We've also updated our Genius system, which is our front door to eAcademy. It's the thing that everybody logs into to get into all of our coursework. We have a new system for collecting PIMS information for the state. That's a huge development. And again, with the help of technology, we have been able to integrate our new help desk system, which if you've lately gone in for help desk support here at the IU, you know that we have a new system for that. We now have that integrated into eAcademy so that our students who are involved in courses use that same system to get help when needed, and it can be routed so much easier through the new system. We're excited about that and what it brings to us in terms of being able to provide a knowledge base kind of support, in addition to that as needed question answered kind of thing, to having the online documentation and support pieces that school districts can use or students can use. So again, thank you to everybody. It's been one heck of a startup. I know Becky gave me some specific numbers before we started here. I know they've climbed since we started the meeting just now. So we're averaging about 150 enrollments a day. So thanks to everybody on that. The other thing I wanted to mention, every year, Curriculum Services has quite a bit of involvement in the statewide system of support, which is our IU's connection to the Department of Education in supporting their efforts and the work that they do and the initiatives that they are working on in any given year. And this year is no exception. We're still going to be doing that type of work. That work gets spread across all divisions in some respect, but in our division, a lot of the things that we do directly with our districts and helping them support operations from a curriculum standpoint, those things are supported through the statement of work. There is kind of a rearranging of that this year. It's in a kind of a new format. There are there are three buckets of statement of work: accelerated learning, STEM, and data governance quality. And those three make up the entire statement of work from the department. Accelerated learning is really where we focus in curriculum. And that is, there are four elements to that. One is systems conditions, one is academics, one is social and emotional wellness, and the other one is scaffolded supports. And all of these things combine to essentially take on all of the supports that we would normally do, plus some of the things that have been brought on as a result of the pandemic. Some of the issues with learning instruction, changing instruction to accommodate the new situations that are out there because of what our students have been through in the last couple of school years. So each IU has appointed or will be appointing points of contact for each of those areas. But we are now broken into 11 regions across the state, and each region is responsible for appointing a regional leader in each of those 4 buckets that I mentioned. Here in IU7, we will be leading the academic portion of those 4 items that I mentioned. So I'll be taking on that role as regional leader, which means I have to work with IU 27 and IU, hold on, 1. I missed that because it switched, it changed. Those 3 IUs are working together within that region now. So on that piece, I'll be the one who goes to PDE and has to bring that information back to the local region. So more to come on that. It's a developing story in terms of exactly what we will be doing, exactly how we'll be implementing that support. But the state does provide funding for us to do that. So these are all services that curriculum services will be providing to our districts without fee, without cost to them. So more to come. And I'm sure next quarter there'll be a lot more to discuss on that realm. And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you very much, Tim. Really appreciate it. The update from Curriculum Services. All right. So let's move to Dr. Thomas here with Student Services. So Matt, the floor is now yours.
I'd like to open our division area by a sincere thanks to everyone in Student Services for all of the hard work that's happening right now to mitigate efforts with the pandemic and to keep kids in school. Bottom line, keep kids in school. I would like to highlight a few things that we opened our year with. Just an excerpt of our opening in-service agenda. We did talk a lot about pronoun use in Student Services in August, about inclusive leadership and not using first person, but rather inclusive ours and we's. And so since we do not possess students, we do not possess colleagues if we're supervisory, we embrace the fact that we are inclusive when we're talking about pronouns. We also talked about professional generosity to each other. This is a theme for our division this year, about having thought partnership, about sharing your gifts and times, about being a giver rather than a taker. So when you're taking people's time, definitely that has an effect on an emotional bank account of things that you're giving to them, and sometimes not necessarily receiving intrinsic rewards in return to assist. And so that starts with one of those first questions in our division about, is your glass half full or half empty? How do you look at it? Do you see things optimally or pessimistically? And so it led us to a conversation about conflict. When we hold hands, when we stick together, we can encounter and we can basically embrace any given problem. And in the particular presentation, the full presentation, we met Adam Grant, who is a organizational leadership professor at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. If you have a chance to check out this particular YouTube video, I encourage you to do so. Are you a giver or taker? Dr. Adam Grant from Penn. And we will not watch that here. I don't know why I skipped ahead, but we left the entire division with a few slides. The one is that the we is greater than me. We are inclusive. We have the opportunity to build a supportive culture for everyone on our team if we put the collective we of our division first. And finally, we put emphasis on making people the best version of themselves. So when we see this street sign of who you are becoming is more important than who you've been, it puts us on that trajectory of perpetual growth and moving us forward to take care of each other, be a listener, be a giver, and learn how to fish to get a solution and become that best version of yourself. And I just wanted to share those few slides as it kicked off our year. Just as a couple anecdotal updates, the Clairview School, as well as all of our early intervention classrooms and our Greensburg partial site, were just ecstatic that we were moving in a direction of very excellent presentation technology. All of those classrooms have been outfitted with Promethean active panels. Staff were trained in August and will continue to receive training so that we have opportunities to just better enhance our Google Classroom presence across all of those early intervention and school age classrooms. And I think too, we're also seeing the benefit of being able to do synchronous instruction on a case-by-case basis for individual students, such as if a student has to be temporarily hospitalized, there are abilities for them to still join their classroom in real time. We've seen that now for well over a year, and the active panel makes it that much easier for the instructors involved. We are trending currently, starting our year higher than anticipated at Clairview. We are sitting at 96 students, which is interesting because that is higher than we anticipated and that it would be. And we continue to come back to the well of innovation when we are faced with students in precarious situations of their educational placements anywhere in the county or even outside of the county. Our team gathers together and tries to go back to, again, to the well and cook up a solution to support our 17 school districts. And so again, that's a huge thanks to TAC, to our supervisory team, to the teachers and SLPs, everyone involved in those unique situations. And final closer here, Dr. Conway, is as a plea. If anyone on the call has anyone that would have a remote interest or even strong interest in being a personal care assistant, we have openings. We have many openings. I see Kim sort of smiled at me on that comment. We are able to hire you very quickly, and please pass the word that we are in need of PCAs to work one-on-one with kids, especially at our Clairview site, with a few other options throughout our early intervention program. And finally, we have the full-time classroom assistant opportunity at the Westmoreland County Detention Center. This position has not yet been filled, and we continue to seek a full-time employee that will serve as a classroom assistant in a classroom at the detention center. And that hereby concludes my report, Dr. Conway. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Matt. I appreciate all the information, and thank you for sharing that with everyone. I'm going to do the technology and infrastructure segment for Eric today. Eric is actually visiting IU 10 and assisting our sister IU in technology director interviews there. So he's on the road currently right now. So he asked me to share a few items here. So looking at his list here, wanted to make sure we mentioned as part of our PCCD grant funding that we received, and because of the pandemic received an extension to use that money, we were able to complete the bollards and boulder project over at Clairview. Also, you'll notice that there are planters and bollards now surrounding the administration building as part of our safety plan. We also are going to be making a number of concrete adjustments at Clairview in the very near future, specifically around the side doors as well as the walkway near the generator. Is going to be some concrete work to provide more cement for students that may need to evacuate, as well as a brand new ramp there in the back. Also, Eric wanted me to have me introduce Ron Lawson, who's now our new head custodian, as well as Terry Kolowaski, sorry about that, as a new custodian. For the first time in, I think, 2 years, we have a full complement of custodians on staff. And so I know Eric is very, very happy about that. From the technology side of things, we continue to support Monessen on site. Also, technology has been very heavy into the e-Academy server support, Genius and Moodle, as well as laptop preparation and rollout. As you heard from Tim's report, just the sheer number of kids that are utilizing e-Academy throughout the county, then many of them require equipment to be able to do that. So we provide that service, which keeps Gavin very busy in the back there. As well as technology's been supporting new device support for all staff. One of those things, many people have received Promethean boards in their classrooms, and you have to thank Matt's vision and technology making it happen to get it into the classrooms. And as I'm visiting classrooms, I'm enjoying seeing people using them and it just doesn't become a fancy whiteboard, that people are using them as design, and it's only going to get better. So it's really exciting to see. So pretty much that's what Eric asked me to share from technology and infrastructure. One thing I failed to mention earlier, but we'll make it part of technology, is that we do have someone on the call and new to the organization. That's Joe Rice. Joe Rice joins us as a student services supervisor, who has also been recently named our school safety and security coordinator. And every LEA, local education agency, that's what an LEA is required to identify a school safety and security coordinator for the state. And so based on Joe's military background and his background as a principal and being ALIS trained, he was a natural fit when he came on board to have him become the coordinator. And so thankfully, Eric was happy to relieve himself of that duty. And as Joe came on board, we've assigned that to Joe, and Joe's been doing an outstanding job. You may have noticed if you're in the admin building, we now not only have a speed of trust behavior of the week, we also have a safety behavior of the week, thanks to Joe. And so you'll start seeing more and more talked about in terms of our threat assessment teams, our safety protocols, our procedures, and things like that. Now that we have some staff that can, really dedicate. And shout out to Eric, who never ever dreamed he'd be signed up to be a school safety coordinator when he joined the IU many years ago as a technology person. And so he held down the fort for us, and really appreciate Eric doing that for the organization. Two last things I have. I also wanted to share that this is actually the 50th year. We're celebrating the 50th year of intermediate units within the state. In 1971, by act of the General Assembly, it created intermediate units. And so we are going to be celebrating 50 years all throughout this school year. And so you'll start hearing announcements of different events. One project that we've been working on with other intermediate units across the state is a time capsule project. And in fact, we've asked each intermediate unit to submit a mini time capsule. And then that mini time capsule is going to be part of a larger time capsule that's going to incorporate our 17 school districts and non-public schools, as well as our programs here within the intermediate unit. And we're going to have a very large time capsule that's going to be located in our front lobby to be open 50 years from now. And so some of us will be 99, some of us will be 110. Hopefully, Tim, you'll make it then. But that's the plan, is to open that in 50 years. And so you're going to be hearing more and more from your supervisors and how you can participate in that. It's pretty exciting to be part of that. So we'll be celebrating that. We're going to do something at the All Celebration Day around that theme of 50 years of intermediate unit service. All right. Before we open it up for questions, our next quarterly meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, December 8th. So again, that's Wednesday, December 8th. And I do promise to send out a reminder the Monday before versus the day of, as I realized this morning, I didn't send out a reminder or the link to today's meeting. But I am very happy to see the number of people who have joined us online, as well as the number of people lining my office here who wanted to see this in action in person. All right, so are there any questions from the group? Feel free if you want to raise your hands or virtually, or if you want to type any questions into the chat. I don't see any questions here from my office. Any questions from any of the participants that you might have? Just practicing appropriate wait time or think time. It's never wait time, because we want you to think during think time. So never refer to it as wait time. It's always think time. All right. Well, I'm not seeing anyone with their hand up. I don't see anything in the chat. All right. Well, I do want to thank you for joining us today. I hope you found the last 32 minutes valuable in learning more about what goes on in the organization. Please know that our doors and emails are always open to questions, concerns that you may have as we continue forward. Just keep on keeping on. Make sure that we do what we need to do to stay safe, stay healthy. Make sure that you're taking care of yourselves, not only physically, but also mentally, as we continue down through a third school year of dealing with the pandemic. And as I said very early in March of 2019, we will definitely come out a stronger organization. We just have to stay resilient. That's the key. We just have to stay resilient. All right. Well, with that, Jerry Springer, final thought. We will close the recording at this time.